Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. My name is Felicia Holder, your host of this program, Pep Talks in the Morning. It is when Thursday. Today's Thursday, the 13th of August. Welcoming you once again to Pep Talks in the Morning. Joining me as a co-host this morning is PEP Deputy Political Leader, Miss Mrs. Lima McLeod Wilkinson. Good morning and welcome, Lima.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, viewers.
Why you sound like I drag you on the program this
I'm feeling tired still. It's like, I don't know, this whole experience. My feet still
Well,
hurting.
yes, that's exactly what we're here to talk about this morning. Our whole electoral experience. Last night I did a live video telling the people what became of my votes that went missing on election night, and even the morning when there was still crickets chirping and there was nothing for Digomartin Central. I had to find out through my returning officer that I got 404 votes, and according to her, the reason why I did not get those results is because I didn't call for it. And when I asked if I can query the results, she said the time for that had passed. Thus enters our first experience with the Trinidad and Tobago electoral process. And I brought Lima on here this morning to talk about both of our experiences with this contesting a general election. And like Lima, I still feel so very tired and mashed up, and I feel as if 10 of those music trucks that PNM and UNC had on the road hit me one after the other. Because waking up every morning, particularly this morning, has been a task as we try to, reintegrate into our old lives, the life where we no longer campaigning 24/7. So, Lemar, tell me, how are you feeling?
I am feeling so physically tired, emotionally too tired. I think that's the most part. You're mentally tired and your body just going off of that. But no matter the amount of sleep you get, it's like you're waking up tired.
hmm
But it was still a good experience though for us. So we know next time how we will do it.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we was running on was adrenaline. A lot of that was
Yeah.
adrenaline. I know for a fact that I wasn't sleeping. I know I was explaining to Lima that my whole body cycle was out of whack. Sleep,
Yeah.
I couldn't, I couldn't sleep. My mom yesterday, because I live with my mom, she came home election night and or election morning, and I locked my door. I kind of isolated myself, not out of depression or sadness or anything like that. I just wanted to get as much sleep as possible, as much sleep. I was explaining that I was a serial sleeper. I went to the office, I pulled two chairs while I was waiting on them to do something. I knock out. They woke me up and say, Felicia, Akil was the one who woke me up and was like, Felicia, go home. I made it all the way to my car and it was raining and I was still so tired, so I just pulled back my seat, and before I know it they were tapping on my glass like half an hour later saying, Yo, Felicia, you're sleeping in the office, come go home. I went home and I knocked out again. I didn't wake up until 9 o'clock the evening because it's just your body literally just trying to catch up on sleep, and it's three
Yeah.
days later and I still
Yeah.
feeling exactly how you're feeling, like your sleep bank's still low and you're trying to catch back up
Yeah.
with
It's
all
hard
the
too
sleep that you
because
missed out.
you still have all your things to do. I still have all my parent and stuff to do. I all my motherly duties.
So you have to be a mommy and be a recovering candidate at the same time. I can imagine just how
Yeah.
How tiring and difficult that is. Um, can't even begin to think about taking care of other people right now. While I can barely take care of myself, I mean, if I had to compare it, what was the closest thing I had to get to that? Monday, Tuesday, you're leaving, having to go in the office and wrap up bill payments, the people who would have worked for us, the makeup artists and all that. But it still doesn't compare to having three hungry gremlins staring at you, wanting to know when mommy going to make breakfast and all of that.
Yeah.
So
And then
I can't like
the
I
three
can't even begin
dogs
to
and all,
compare.
they're like, three dogs and all, they're like, what's going on? What's going on? You know, so it's
The
like, oh
dogs and
gosh.
all,
All right, all right.
the dogs and
Yeah.
all want to know what with mommy Lamar.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw the night before election, which was the last I guess the last lap for all of us. I saw your team out in full force. I was actually in where was I? That was the Saturday. I think it was the Saturday night
So the Sunday,
before election.
Sunday
It was the
night,
Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday
elections
night.
was,
Yeah, yeah, it was a Sunday night. I saw your team out. I was actually by my hairdresser and I left. They were combing the street. It was dark time and they were still on the move. And I have to say, kudos to your team. I think you are a very hard-working team alongside you. How was it like
yes.
campaigning with the team that you had for elections? Tell me about your.
It was good. It was good. They made it a very fun experience. It wasn't a drab. They didn't make it seem like there's a chore. Oh God, boy. I had to work with these people. It was really, really good. I really had a so I'm planning a little appreciation time for them to
I still, man.
show appreciation because unlike the 1% parties, we can pay people to kind of thing now. So, but they had they did, and we have a WhatsApp group chat. So um, we will keep that to communicate and talk and have time. And the thing is, when you
I,
about you see a lot of weird things, and everybody have their own experience. So we all had that little common about. I mean, walking in the night is scary, and then you're seeing strange things happening. So, and we saw a couple of weird things, especially in St. Anne's.
especially when St. Anne.
Yeah, I swear I was in X Files or something.
What do you mean? Only escapee prisoners? I hear me
No,
prisoners are mad.
no, no. We walked up a street some night, and it was just three of us, and we saw all these white Highlanders passing in, all of them brand new vehicles. They still have the plastic on the seats, about five or six of them, and this white truck. And the truck is the last vehicle, and every driver is they they head straight, nobody turning left or right, and we walking alongside there while they going up the street. So it's like, what the hell? And everybody talking and thing, and I was like, are you not noticing what's happening on the side of us? So Chrissy's like, I just don't want it because you know. And then when we get to the end of the street, when we get to the end of the street, they had already turned and they were offloading stuff from the truck and things. So it's like we walking into this and it's like, what kind of transaction is this we walking into the middle of here? And what I know that the drivers were white. So, and they looked foreign, they weren't locals. So I was like, is it that they're Spanish or is it American white? And then I saw American soldier uniform. So I was like, oh my God, what are we walking into? I say, we street black people here. We quick, we go get the bullets first, And then the gang warfare or something. And then two vehicles came out of closed compound, the botanical gardens.
Mm-hmm.
Two vehicles came out of there to meet them. And everybody just watching everybody. And it's like, those horror movies when in the middle, but you just turn and watch you, and you watching them, and they watching you, and it's like, okay, what to do now? That was it, and I was like, all right, let's just turn around and get out of here. So we turned and we were walking around, and one of the people came out of the vehicle, and it was an American soldier, a female. She didn't even understand what we were saying because we were like, could we pass? We skedaddled out. Yeah.
Good thing you got out there because we wouldn't want to have heard that Lima and her friends ended up in some kind of X-Files kind of scenario. Sounds very
Exactly.
creepy now.
Yes, it did.
It didn't happen.
It did.
I'm trying to think of the experiences that I had that could even compare to that on the campaign trail. None really, mine was a fairly quiet-ish campaign. A lot of the times I walked by
Wow.
myself or me and one other person. And as my team knows me, I like rain, sun or shine, and I see the same was for you. I was going out. Um,
Yeah.
I think that was actually one of my favorite parts. I wasn't so fond of the sunburn. I got real sunburn on this walkabout process.
Yeah.
By the time it was done, my face was a different color from my hand. I was just looking burns, and my forehead was constantly
Yeah.
shining because of
I broke out in a rash on my arms from the sun or the dust or something, and then everywhere I walk is like a hilly, and hill is some track that lead into stairs, and it's like, oh God, why? Why?
I think
And
the
I
one
know
day
Stuart
I
Young don't walk up
had
stairs.
of course not. The one day I had Daniel, I think he was looking forward to just walking some flat roads. And that's the one day that we had all the hills to go up to. He's like, "Ooh, I thought I'd escaped all of the hills and the stairs with Lima." And I come to Diego Martin and I get some to I say sorry about that. But apparently everywhere have some kind of hill or some kind of track or some kind of stairs for you to climb.
Boy,
And
wait,
also
stairway to heaven.
but my calves though, my calves are really nice and firm right now. Feel very proud of that. If it's one thing I gained, I gained some well-defined calves from all of that walking. It's a plus, I
I
guess.
exercise, yeah. I would say I did get a lot of exercise, but what I don't understand though is there are certain MPs that didn't even campaign and how they get all them votes. It's like you're seeing the bullshit for what it is, and it's either people just blind or not coming to terms with the reality. How it is certain MPs could not campaign and only vote them back in. And those are the same people who just smirk and laugh at all you. Or there's a glutton for punishment.
Three particular MPs that, if they deserve to be fired this year, if anything, sorry, they had deserved to be fired this year. Stuart Young was one.
Yeah, Coleman Bird.
Was another one, and Fitzgerald Hines was another one.
Yeah.
After all of that happened with him in the Beetham and the water and the lawsuit against the fella, and he was charged and all of that,
Yeah.
I thought, if it's one thing, I felt as if the residents of Laventille West, forget PNM and forget where we know and forget what Granny tell us. If there was a reason to tell this man that you are a mocking pretender, you are a black man striving to be anything but a black man because you clearly not looking after your people, your same people that you're supposed to be looking
They,
out
you know
for.
what I noticed? They relied heavily on the elderly. So they would go and pick them up and force them to come down. And I have to say force because you literally picking them up and bringing all of them down. All of them who can't walk, who in wheelchair, you have to see people lifting up old people out of the car to put them in the wheelchair to carry them to vote. So you're forcing people. And the young people didn't show up to do their civic duty. And that's
And
what PNM relied on, the old people.
speaking of that, I am watching the results figures this year. On the day itself, many people felt as if this was going to be the largest voter turnout that we've had in history.
Yeah, and
I
it wasn't.
think because yeah, I think because of the long lines and the COVID-19 regulations, it seemed like that. So we had 6 o'clock people still standing up outside waiting to get in, and it
Yeah.
created the illusion this was the biggest turnout for election. Actually, it was almost 100,000 people less that voted in this election. Um,
Again, why? Because the
yeah,
EBC does not want to evolve and make things easier. Yeah, it's COVID-19. So you telling me all you couldn't come up with some online based voting now where the young people could just flick us yes or no, vote online to do it? This coming to line up and you telling me the body that responsible for giving you ID cards having so much of problems with people on the list, not on the list and all of that. So what is it that there's a separate entity dealing with ID cards and a separate one for election? Something is wrong with the management of EBC. It's like incompetence right in everywhere.
the thing is, and for me, with regards to the EBC, I have had two very differing experiences with the EBC. I have had one where it seemed to work, and this is when I was going after the logo change with the EBC when I had to register. It was a lot of back and forth, but
Yeah.
there's a process there, Lemma. Like with many things in the country, there's a process, but it is greatly flawed. There's an extra amount of red tape where there shouldn't be. For example, the logo that we had to have changed, it was to add in the PEP with the Progressive Empowerment Party under it, next to the umbrella with the people holding up this umbrella. And in order to do that, we had to get the People's Empowerment Party to deregister their symbol, meaning I had to fly to Tobago not once, but twice. Because the first time it didn't work. Second time, I went to close the deal to get their signature on a document to say that we are no longer interested in contesting elections in Tobago. It's a Tobago-based party. Come back, submit that to the EBC, submit our assignment of our new logo to the EBC, which took, I would say, between getting them the documents and getting approval for the documents, maybe about 2 months or a month and a half, which I didn't understand because you had every single thing. And it took that time because I and all had to call and walk through the system, which I hate. I hate to drop something for somebody and still have to call and follow up
Yeah.
that you signed it and sent it to that one, and that one stamped it and brought it back to this one. Because then what is the point of a system if I have to literally walk you through it?
Yeah.
Then came the end where we got back the logo and we had to confirm that this was the logo. And to confirm that it was the logo, it had to go to government printry who had to do an example, send it to the PRO, who then had to write to me to come in and approve. I had to write back to come in to approve the logo. Then they would write to the government printer and tell them that the logo is approved. The government printer would then write back. And there's a whole set of like unnecessary stuff. So I actually had to go in and sit down and say, yo, rather than me have to write you a letter and you have to write me a letter showing me what the printer did, why not just have me come in with my own two eyes and sit down and approve the letter? And she's like, well, okay, yes, I guess we can do that. And Lama, if I didn't do that, I don't think we would have gotten our logo in time for election because literally
Yeah.
2 weeks after we got it back, and that was with me
Yeah.
walking through each stage of the process, calling, following up, bombarding, emailing, stalking these people on my
Yeah.
birthday, May the 18th. I was sitting down in EBC office trying to track down a letter that they sent me that they couldn't find. I couldn't find it either. And this letter was critical to moving on to the process. I was like, do you have a copy of it? Yes, we do. I'm like, well, let me just approve the copy because as it is right now, we can't trust Titi Post. We can't trust where that letter ended up, but it is keeping back the entire process. Can we please move
Yes.
forward? And I want to say that there are willing people in the EBC, but they are being literally bogged down by unnecessary steps in a
Yeah.
process that clearly needs some
Yeah.
redefining. It needs some kind of it needs somebody to go in there, do an audit, and say, yo, these extra steps not necessary.
Necessary,
Look
yeah.
at look
But the thing about
at the
it, the
registration
CEO could
process.
do that. It's just that she don't care, she don't know, she don't want to know, or her party and tell her fix it. But then if you fix it, that means the less bubble.
Look at the registration process for election, Limo. Look at what we had to go through
Yeah.
to just to become registered candidates for the election.
Yeah.
You have to get. I understand the part with getting the approval. Some people within your
Yeah, the
constituency.
electors. I understand that. But the rest of the things is like nonsense. Walking with the people ID card is bullshit. You have the system there. You give out ID cards. How it is you can't check on the system for the ID cards.
Precisely. That was madness. Getting them to sign next to it after we had agreed that that we could use the copy of it. I understand all of that. But why did it take us having to come in to tell you all how to make the system
Yeah.
work? That for me was
Yeah.
absolutely absurd. And I
That's
mean,
because you
should
see what the
I
people who does go behind the other parties is a set of elderly people who okay with the system being the way it is. They don't even ask questions. And I witnessed that when I did it myself because I didn't have an agent. I did it myself. And my returning officer was like, this is why it is choose an agent to do this way. I say, well, no. How else do you know how to fix a system if you don't go through it yourself? I say, and this system is nonsense. I say, why all you don't have a computer to pull up everything to make all your life easier? All this paper, paper, paper. I say, EBC is responsible for giving people ID cards. You're supposed to be able to pull it up with the ID card on the system, and bam, you're done. And all this nonsense with this fanfare, and you come in with a parade that you nominate. Woohoo! What's the big deal with that? That's foolishness. You're pappy showing people with fam and glam and all kind of nonsense instead of the issues. And then you're coming on TV to talk a set of shit that you're still in friggin' doing.
We are staring at some very uncertain times right now in the country. I mean, I've seen the jokes about it, but brace for the budget and all of this. But we really need to brace, and it is as a result of the decisions that we made on Monday night. And I want to read something somebody sent to me this morning. Good night. I listened to your live, and I would like to point out another irregularity that occurred at a polling station I worked at. The presiding officer made all the poll clerks and also the polling agents sign two blank statements on the poll forms after we each signed our own. When we questioned her, she said that was extras in case she made a mistake because she had to send the ballot box clerk and DPO statement of the polls to EBC. Thinking back now, she could have put in her own figures and discard the ballot box and the DPO's clerk
Mm-hmm.
SOP form because the statement of the polls indicate how much votes for each candidate and total votes, etc. And the EBC uses this information to declare who wins, something to think about and look into. So basically,
Yeah.
the polling agents were made to sign two blank statements of the poll forms. Chicken, I will kill you.
Yeah.
They were made to sign two blank poll forms, which basically, after they left, I mean, even that lemma, that as an
Yeah.
irregularity, that's
That
a
sounds off.
huge irregularity. It sounds very
It
off.
is.
Yesterday, one of the polling agents, she called me. She was actually upset over Philip's post, and she said she misinterpreted the part about independent observers, thinking that he was referring to her and other polling agents. I said, no, when we're talking about independent observers, we're actually talking about international observers who would have pointed out
Yeah.
something like that. What I'm realizing in this entire process, and I've seen people saying that political parties should have their own polling agent. They are actually just supposed to be an added step in the process. They're not supposed to actually be doing the work of the EBC. They're supposed to be there
Yeah.
safeguarding our interests. But what is the role, official role of a polling agent?
Well, when I
There,
worked for the elections for the last time, what I noticed from the polling agents, what they do is they go through the list and they would check all the names, and people would come, take their list and give them new lists. So they would see all who came to vote and who hasn't come yet. So they would call their street captains and tell them, well, so ain't come to vote yet, and go and get this person. So that's why I tell you, the election process is not necessarily a fair one, because PNM and UNC is going to pick up people to bring them to vote. So it's like you're not leaving people up to their own free will to do it. You're leaving the young people to do that. But the elderly, you're forcing them, you're bringing them. Remember, Eric Williams give you free education. He gave you this, he gave you that. Because when you listen to all them old people, that's the first thing they tell you. Be grateful. Eric Williams give you free education. Okay, no problem, Eric Williams do that. But that's because PNM was the only government at the time after independence. So who the hell else you wanted us to give it to? And not because PNM give it to you means it cannot be upgraded and changed over time. Not because it seem like it work means it cannot be upgraded. And this is the incompetence and the illiteracy I can handle. Times change. It's supposed to evolve and grow.
on election day, the girl who was doing my makeup, um, her phone kept ringing, and she said that it was her grandmom who kept calling her to tell her make sure she go and vote, make sure she go and vote, make sure she go and vote. And in that itself, she was also telling her who to vote for. And she was getting irritated, and she's like, "Oh, stop, why she keep calling me," and blah 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 blah. And I sat down there quiet. I didn't say much because this is the makeup girl who worked with us for the entire election season. She was
Mm.
around our campaign. She heard our speeches live and
Yeah.
before it even hit television. So she became a pepper by extension. She could probably talk to our policy, news about our policy on home ownership, and she learns a lot just being around us for election. And to know that coming down to the end, and this is not me blaming her or saying anything about her, but to know that even after all of that, in the end, that the influence of her family and the influence of her grandmother could be so strong. I mean, I can't say whether and who she voted for, but I do know, and from just her response and her body posture and from just her frustration, I really got to understand just how real this whole tribal politics thing is, and just how much just this clan behavior, especially if your family is a strong persuasion of one of the two political parties, how much it can influence your own free thinking. Because, like I say, she has been around us, she has been hearing everything that we've seen, and while we never told her you have to vote for us, I think somebody of their own free will would naturally
Mm-hmm.
gravitate to the we will say. Now we actually she has, and we would I would be rehearsing my speech while she doing my makeup and putting on my lashes, and she'd be nodding her head and saying yes, but then coming down to the end, all of that could fly out of the window just because you have a family member or a grandparent or auntie or uncle
Yeah.
who literally pressuring you to do something that they want you to do. And you see that I never understood how strong the tribal politics is in this country until I had to
Yeah.
experience it first. And I have to say, and I told an old man this on the journey for on my campaign journey, and as I'll be discussing this morning, the journey of this campaign. An old man, and I saw him in Harding Place, sitting down at the side of the road, getting ready to be drunk because he on his whatever drink. And he before I could even talk to him about what I was coming to talk about, PNM tell her dad, and I said, I get angry. I say, PNM tell your dad, but what you getting in return for that? And what all you're leaving? I say, you and others like you'll disappoint me. Your generation that know that you're suffering, that know that what all you're leaving for the rest of us is sufferation, but still have the gall to watch us in our face, tell us that the people responsible for causing our sufferation ones that you rather, y'all are disappointed. And I cannot believe that that's the example that you're setting for us young people. And I can't believe we
Yeah.
have to inherit a shithole because of you. And he took responsibility. He's like, yeah, I know this is what we do. And I'm like, how could you take responsibility but not augur for change? How could you do that? And why is it that you
Yeah.
are comfortable bringing a new
Because they
generation into
believe
this
in the
work?
brainwashing nonsense and the tribalist PNM put in, and this is what people need to understand. There is racism between PNM and UNC. PNM putting people against Indian people, and UNC putting people against African people. And that bullshit is what we need to reach to the point and understand. That is our politics have us where we are. And people brazen now to be commenting and saying all kind of shit about cockroach and black people this and Indian people this and all your lice head this and all kind of stupidness, and you're getting that shit from all your political leaders. They're
I'm
getting that
glad that you
foolishness from
introduced
them.
I'm glad that you introduced the cockroach talk, because yesterday I have a WhatsApp chat with some of my classmates from SAGS, and I rarely look at it because they talk so much. But yesterday I opened it, and sorry guys, you know the truth now of why you don't see me responding. Y'all just talk so much. So I opened I opened it yesterday, and I happened to see the topic of discussion was Miss Nyla Ramsaran, who is my friend on Facebook. Well, was, I have to say, because she's now deactivated her profile. She used to comment and like many of my posts because I went to school with her. She was a classmate of mine. She was in my class actually. And for all of the years that we went to SAGS, I had no idea that she was the daughter of Ramsaran's Punch. And I saw her unfortunate comment, and that is a euphemism. I'm clearly being kind when I say unfortunate. Um, she really jumped out of herself to say
Yeah.
one of the most racist and vile things that she could say. And I was reading a thread because my fellow SAG sisters were also disappointed in what she said, and they were trying to reconcile how could this person be and seem so racist. Somebody that we went to school with, somebody that we played
Mhm.
PE with, the aid
Just
from,
make you
trying to understand.
wonder.
Really does make you wonder what they could be thinking about you. And then somebody explained, or not explained, they were saying that her family actually, that she has this, I don't want to say hatred, but she has this clearly feeling towards certain members of our society that allows her to classify all of them under one umbrella of cockroaches, as she used. Apparently, her father was beaten and robbed and left in a really bad condition by a member of the same community. And for that reason, it seems to have strengthened her racist outlook on all black people, which of course, is not the way to handle things. But, and for those who are going to disagree with me here, feel free to disagree with me, but these are my feelings on it. While I think what she said was absolutely disgusting, after I heard her backstory, there was a level of sympathy that I felt for her, not because of her statement, but because of this particular fact. I remember when I was staying in my camping street, Diego Martin Central, and let me show you his experience it in Cat Portisville, North and Danzworth. You have the real rich areas like Cascade and
Yeah.
Wells Rich
And you have to pass to the
in
ghetto
Port.
area to get to the posh area, or sometimes the posh area at the end of the ghetto area. Yani.
Or in some cases right across the road, and you're trying to understand how one area literally minutes from our next area could be so poor while the other area is so
Yeah.
rich. And I remember seeing on my campaign that it is really crazy that we have such a division in society, and that even after having security dogs and cameras and gated communities and
Yeah.
electric fences, that we could still become victims of the very people that we're trying to block ourselves and separate ourselves from. And that's what we do in this country. We try to build walls and fences to divide ourselves from the very people who obviously come in to rob you, because what else do they have to do in life? And is this
Yeah,
kind
but
of
the thing
chicken
is,
and egg?
again, that's our fault again, because here it is. If you evolve the education system to take into consideration the children that cannot grasp the education as well as others, and you put things in place so they don't fall to the side and become criminals, because one way or the other you'll bounce them up. Is either you bounce them up in school, because a lot of people who have problems with us and our education policy with making all schools prestigious is, oh, you don't want your children to mix in with those people. But it's either you mix in
Mm-hmm.
school or you mix outside of school. And outside of school will be
Exactly.
worse than in school. So Trinidadians need
Recycle.
to understand that and see that we making these monsters. You're not
We
evolving the
are.
education system, and it's either you deal with your classmates and you help them and everybody learn and grow together, and we all move as a class, or after school, when I don't pick up and I don't understand what the hell going on in school, and I drop out and I join a gang, and my gang leader tell me, here, what, go and kill 2 people and rob them, or whatever the case is. Oh, right, you was making fun of me in school? Yeah, I go teach you a lesson.
And that is the problem. We are literally creating our own problem. And Nyla Ramsaran and her comments, darling, I really did not realize that you were so